Hi, and welcome to episode 12 of Naked Talk. I'm Unprocessed Jess. We're going to be talking today about just a spiritual check-in on how I'm doing. I haven't really talked a lot about my spirituality on the podcast, but I'm always saying that all areas of our life are connected and affect the other, and we can't compartmentalize one area, and spirituality is part of that. So I'm going to share some of that today and also let you know why skydiving helps me be a better mom. I've said before, the reason I started this podcast and even blogging online in the beginning was to share my voice and stories because I know someone out there needs to hear them. And it helps so much to know that we're not alone when we face struggles and tragedy and tribulations in this life. And it really helped me as well. Just have a way to connect with others, especially when my girls were little and I had 3 kids, 5 and under, homeschooling. And it just can feel sometimes as a mom that you're just drowning in all these different things in life. So it was my outlet that was just for me. And continuing with the podcast, that's still the reason I do this, is to share my voice. And so it's therapeutic for me as well. I've shared a little bit, family things in life that a lot of us will face sometime in life. So I'm going to be recording when I can. You might see me take a little bit step back if you follow me on my blog and other places, but know that I'm really going to be sharing real talk and keep this within just what I'm going through. So you might get one thing one day and get something another day because that's life, right? We have ups and downs, and sometimes we have to take a step back and really see where we need to reprioritize our time. And for me right now, that's really focusing on myself, of course, because if we're not okay, we can't help others, but then my husband and my girls in this season of life. So I really appreciate you listening. I hope you stick around with me and let me know when you hear something that really helps you, share it, and also let me know so I know that I'm making a difference. So that being said, I want to let you know that also something since we're keeping it real, right, and naked here, that I've been a little hesitant to do really since I started my online journey was putting anything about my faith in there. I am a Christian. I'm a believer. And most of my friends who are online and are believers, they have, a scripture, or they have a believer or faith or Christ. And I've had several bloggers mention the fact that, not in a bad way, but just say, oh, well, you don't understand because you're not a Christian blogger or you don't post about things. And it really made me think like, oh, okay, well, I don't really share a lot about that. And actually in my personal life, offline, I don't necessarily say that I'm a believer. I like to show people Christ's love through my actions and through encouragement that I give them. And a lot of times I may be ministering to somebody even at the gym or at a grocery store or through an act of kindness and just showing love. So I wanted to share that because this podcast is for things that we struggle with and don't always talk about. So you'll be hearing a lot from me, especially as I go through these different stages of grief in my life and parenting and just the hard stuff. I mean, life can be tough, y'all. Like, it's no joke, and we need to talk about it and know that we're not alone. So you will be seeing bits and pieces of my spiritual journey come out, and I have been so hesitant to put anything about being a Christian maybe on my Instagram or things like that because I just honestly, y'all, I don't know what it was. I guess I felt like if I put that, then I couldn't put other things. For a long time, I share this in my book that I'm working on, but I felt like as a homeschool mom and then as a Christian, and especially in the South and where I grew up, that it looked a certain way and you had to be super, super conservative. And if it didn't fit into those boxes, then you just didn't fit in. And as I've grown as a person and a mom and a Christian, I'm seeing that I really need to take a step back and say, okay, what is what is God saying and what is that of a Christian culture that I'm living in? And also, what is just in my head? There might have been times when I thought people were judging me and they weren't, and they probably could not care less because let's face it, most people are more concerned about themselves than us. And a lot of times when we worry about things, they're not even thinking about us because they're wrapped up in their own messes and trying to get through their own life. So I just thought I would share that. I know there's probably people out there like me who are good moms. We love God and we're on this journey. So I don't want you to ever hear this and say now that you know I'm a Christian that, well, why is she putting that? Because she's a Christian and, she shouldn't be saying that. And that's not a good witness or example, but I'm being myself. What I love about a podcast is being able to be real and connect with you and really just share what's going on in this beautiful but sometimes wacky brain of mine and share it with you, and you can follow me along with my journey as I process all of these things. So reach out to me if you're feeling the same way. I've looked for moms and groups and different things, and I haven't been able to find a whole lot of them, and especially clients I've talked to, my coaching clients, whether it was relationships in their marriage where different things they're dealing with sex issues. A lot of times they don't want to go to the church because they don't want to be judged, or even if they're not judging them, then they know they have to see them at Sunday at school or at church the next week. So, it's good to have resources that we can go to. That being said, I do want to touch on that. I am a Christian, I'm a believer, but I'm also wrestling with a lot of things. As I get older, I really start to question, why do I believe what I believe? So I grew up in a very small town north of Houston. It's called Humble, and the H is silent. So that's a local joke. It's spelled Humble. And back then we were the first street in our neighborhood. There wasn't hardly anything there. And I just think, how I was raised in this small Texas suburb is totally different. Even if you go within the same country, but up north, my friends from up north, they can see right away the difference. I have a wonderful friend that I met through a podcast conference, and her name's Diane, and she lives in LA. And we are just night and day, but I was drawn to her immediately. I really like her, but she kind of was saying, oh, well, a lot of how you are is because of where you're believer and you're from the South. And as I meet more people, especially those from different countries, my husband is from England, and getting to meet his family and his in-laws and then people through his company has really shown me that I think a lot of what I believe is because of where I grew up. And it's this tiny little bubble. And I want to know that I can stand behind what I believe. And it's because I believe it, not because someone told me, not because that's just what other people thought or believe. And so, yeah, I'm on a journey. And honestly, I wrestle with a lot of things. I used to feel guilty or afraid that if I questioned anything that was in the Bible, or not even so much the Bible, and if you're listening in another country, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, but I've had people from other countries who have gone to church in America, especially that I'm non-denominational Christian, and they were just blown away and they didn't understand it. And they just see it differently. And there is a very big culture. And while that's important, right, because we need fellowship with like-minded believers, it becomes a blurred line of what is a Christian culture and what is Christianity and what is spirituality based on the Word of God. And I just don't see a lot of people talking about that because I think there might be a stigmatism to it, or they're afraid. I know me, I don't want to be seen as, oh, well, she's questioning her faith. Like, what's wrong with her? And then you throw being a mom on top of that, and that's a whole other thing in the mix. My husband and I were talking the other day, and we just haven't been to church in months and months. And, you come to a point where you think, okay, I'm wrestling with these things, but is it fair to my children to not have them in church? And am I having my children suffer as a result of it while I'm figuring things out, right? So it is something that's when you're a parent, it's not just you. You have children to think about. But then sometimes you think, okay, well, I want them to make up their own mind, but they also need a foundation. And then as they get old enough, they can discover other things and make that decision for themselves. So that's what I wanted to share about that, because like I said, going back to the beginning, our spirituality is a very big part of us. We can push it to the side and not address it, but eventually that's going to come into play. Just like I've shared before, you can eat healthy and work out and look great, have a hot body, but those toxic relationships and emotions and mental things are still going to catch up with you, and vice versa. You can be a great person, even like your job. You feel like you're helping in the community. Your family's going well, but you're not taking care of yourself physically. That's going to catch up to you also. So what I decided to do is share my faith. I believe in God. I am a Christian. And I'm learning from other people as well, and really praying that God can show me what is culture, what is His word, what am I doing just out of habit or because somebody else said I should do it, and what is because I truly believe it. And also to give me wisdom for things that I don't know about yet or that I need to know. Now to switch gears a little bit, I wanted to share something that I put in my blog last year. I'm sorry. I don't know if it was last year or a couple years ago. See, as a mom, like we just go through the day. So I tell my friends a lot of time, don't ask me about last week. I just know pretty much what I need to do today and maybe tomorrow. But I wrote this a while back, and I want to share this with you because you might be where I was at that time, just feeling kind of like you're just drowning in all the things that you're having to do. Maybe you're going through a hard time, but you don't even have time to recognize that because you have a husband and kids and a job and volunteer and all of these things. So listen to this. It's called How Skydiving Made Me a Better Mom. And listen to it and say what your skydiving is. You know, what is that going to be? What is that going to look like for you in your life? And let me know what you think. So here's my post. How could skydiving from a perfectly good plane make me a better mom? I'm a wonderful mom and do everything for my girls and put them first. I'm one of the best moms going, or so I thought. Everyone tells me this, including my husband, but they couldn't see the struggle behind the surface. Homeschooling, constantly running girls around here and there and everywhere, months without a break or even a simple manicure or dinner with girlfriends or my husband. I was exhausted, resentful, didn't really have time to grieve the loss of my brother, much less take time for myself. The list goes on, and yet the guilt I felt for feeling tired or not wanting to do everything for my precious little gifts from above only made it worse. I made a 40 by 40 list, not really believing I'm actually going to do most of the items, but skydiving was on there. My sister and I always said we would skydive together after bungee jumping when we were kids. Soon we were grown and I became a mom and never found the time, and this dream was forgotten among many others. She called me one day and said she was going skydiving and wanted me to come. 2 weeks from that day, seriously, my mind immediately shifted to the girls, their school activities, volleyball tournaments, soccer games, gymnastics. Who will take them? I can't just up and drive over an hour and jump out of a plane. Then a small voice quieted my rambling mind, and I replied, "Sure. We've always said we'd do it, so let's go for it." Did I really just say that? My sister was excited, and I told my husband and girls, and I was determined I wouldn't back out. I arranged for carpool to the tournament. My husband took the girls to the soccer game, and you know what? They made it work and were just fine. I was so nervous, and flying up in the plane brought back so many emotions, good and bad, from this year with losing our brother. Things you think about when you're jumping out of a plane and thinking your death is near at 7,000 or more feet. But you know what? I looked at my sister. I was the first to jump because somehow I ended up sitting directly in front of the door, which was open in the plane most of the way up. And I told her I loved her, and I fell backwards out of the plane. My instructor was correct. He told me, "You don't feel like you're falling at all, just flying." When I opened my eyes and realized I didn't die, it was amazing. Like nothing you can describe. I felt courageous, strong, unstoppable, almost magical. Skydiving empowered me in a huge way and made me realize I'm more than a wife and mom. I'm me. I'm Jess. I'm the person I was before I got married and became a mom. We lose ourselves sometimes, and it doesn't have to be that way. Take care of yourself. Face your fears as well as your dreams head on and channel that inner woman inside you that's gone missing. You may not need to jump out of a plane to do it, but it's not a bad way either. Skydiving helped me become a better mom. What steps can you take today to do the same? So I hope that helps you. I would love to hear what your skydiving for you would be. And I'd even love even more to see that you've done that. And also, back with the believer, being a Christian or whatever faith that you have, how has that affected you as a mom now that you have children and you're being an example for them in a way and exposing them to certain things? How do you do that, and what struggles have you had? I'd love to hear that. So once again, I'm so excited you've listened. If you haven't subscribed, if you do subscribe, what will happen, it will let you know when I have a new episode. So if you're like me and you get busy and it really helps to say, oh, this new episode comes out, just subscribe. It'll let you know when I have a new episode, and you can just click it and play or save it for when you have time. You can go on my Instagram. Like I said, you're going to notice that it's taken a little bit of a change because I'm really going to focus a lot on my family and just doing things that I enjoy and that my family enjoys doing. So stay tuned for all that. I'm on Unprocessed Jess on all of my social media. And you can go to nakedtalkpodcast.com to see the blog and the other episodes. And I hope you live life a little less processed. Talk to you soon. Bye.